because that's where I saw everything that I know today.
I'm going to be asking you what you saw, but in the interim, we are live on Xylophone TV. We are also live on Facebook streaming on Xylophone 102.1 FM, and we are also on YouTube streaming live. Our YouTube page is Xylophone Media, so we are live across the whole world. All right, what did you see in Canada that opened your eyes?
I saw the subway.
Oh, okay.
I saw high-rise buildings. You know, I saw so many things. I mean, first, we had a visa problem, so we had to transit at New York.
Oh.
So we lived in New York on 52nd Street in a hotel.
Interesting.
For, I don't know, probably a month or two, because the visa problem was so serious, they wouldn't let us pass.
Wow.
So we had to stay in a hotel in New York City for a while.
Wow.
Surviving on bread and milk.
Oh, wow.
Cartoned milk.
Wow. Why? Was there no food?
Well, we hadn't got to our destination yet. So somewhere right in the middle of nowhere where we developed a problem. It was really hard, you know, but we were bent on getting to our destination. So we didn't care what it took. We stayed in the hotel until our visa problem was solved and we could proceed.
Oh, so you were in America?
Yes, I was in America, New York City.
52nd Street?
52nd Street at age 10.
Age 10.
Yes.
Oh, my God. So when you finally got to Canada, what was it like over there, apart from seeing the high-rise buildings and the subway? What was the food like? Did you like it as a child?
Pickles and marshmallows. Quite strange.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the food was very strange, you know.
Okay.
We used to go out to visit with some Indian people, and they had so many, they had literally thousands of small dishes on every table. And, I didn't know what the food was like, and you had to pick and choose, and you know, it was a whole different thing altogether. We used to go out visiting friends and my father's colleagues and dining with them, and it was a really good thing. And that's where we went to. Canada is a more wooded area, like a forest kind of. It's not like America. It's more subdued and it's more tranquil.
That's true.
And then we used to go and watch moose and see raccoons and fish for trouts in the creek, and I saw everything there.
Oh my God! And you lived there for how long?
For about 2 years, yeah. For about 2 years.
When it was time for you to return home, what was the feeling like?
I'd gone out a couple of days earlier and accidentally frozen my ears because I didn't cover them up. So I was kind of sick when we were traveling back down to Ghana, because my ears were hurting so bad. I almost lost the blood circulation in my ears because I'd forgotten to cover my ears, and I went out and it was terrible for me. I was kind of sick. We were coming down. Yeah.
So you were happy to be going home?
Yes, because I'd wanted to see where we came from all over again, because my father used to force us to keep our accents.
Wow.
He didn't want us imitating Americans, Canadians. Yes, so he used to force us, sometimes even with the cane.
Wow.
Yeah, to force us to retain our accent so that when we get back to Ghana, it wouldn't look too strange that we had been. So, my father was an economist. He was a kind of person who didn't like to show off anything. He didn't want anybody to ever know that we had ever been anywhere.
Wow.
So he actually shoved us hard to keep our accents.
Very humble man.
Yes, very humble man.
And he was a disciplinarian as well.
Yeah, very.
Did he used to beat you up sometimes?
Yeah, he used to beat us. In New York, we used to bathe together.
Okay.
And it took one heavy beating in New York to stop all that.
Oh my God.
Yes, he whipped us really hard. And then
are you talking about you and your sisters bathing together?
Yes.
Oh wow.
We didn't know anything.
Wow.
So we used to bath together until we got to New York, and then they gave us one heavy whipping, and that ended it all. We never bathed together again.
You all had to go differently.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you remember about your father that you would consider as your fondest memory?
Well, he used to take us to, we're in Cape Coast, so we used to go to the coast where the Anglo people used to fish along the coast.
Okay.
And there was a long stretching village a village stretching from the West Gate all the way into Elmina. And that's a couple of miles of highway.
Wow.
With the Ewe people, with the Angolon people who are our cousins. You know, they used to do yake and then they used to fish along the coast, and he used to take us there, and we would sit there for a long while, you know, just enjoying ourselves and reconnecting with our cousins from Angolon, and, you know, those were my fondest memories.
For a man who was that educated and is well sought after around the world of economics, did he marry a woman who was educated as well?
Well, he did his best to educate my mother. He put her up in the Methodist secondary school where she did O-level.
Oh.
But, you know, he also happened to be a jealous person. He wanted his wife to remain in the house. So in the end, the education didn't
really matter
because in the end she ended up doing nothing at all, and she didn't get into any enterprise or anything. She just sat at home with her O-level degree, and nothing happened, you know.
Did he marry your mother as an illiterate, or she was quite literate?
She had finished middle school when he picked her up.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
So my mother is quite educated. Yeah.
What did your father want you to be?
Well, he just let me alone, but he knew that I was going to be an academic like himself, you know. So okay. I mean, a son after his own heart.
Okay. All right. Were you his favorite child?
I suppose I was, because I am because I have a big brother, but things were not too good between them, you know. Things were not too good between them, so they couldn't face each other. So he lived somewhere. He sent my big brother to Commander Teaching Training College. Yes, and then he stayed away from the family most of the time. You know, it's when my father was very sick that my big brother came around, and we helped to support him, and you know, helped to support him until.
Can you recount how you learned of the stroke?
Well, at that time I was in Form 5. At that time we had the sixth form, the O-level, A-level system. And at that time he had been...
Form 5 at where? Which
Form
school?
5, in Fansipim.
Oh,
still in Cape Coast.
Oh, okay, you went to Fansipim?
Yes, I was in Fansipim.
On the hill?
For 7 years, from Form 1 right up to 6th form.
Oh, wow.
So I was there, and, you know, he had, my mother had been complaining that he had started limping.
Oh.
But my father wasn't somebody to take medical checkups seriously. Because there was always a fear that if people got to realize, the university authorities would let him go, because they would realize that there was something wrong with him. So he did his best to conceal his condition from everybody. But actually the thing was really happening. My mother saw him actually limping, which means one side of his body was
about to give way.
So one day I was in school. We were preparing for our O-level or something, and then people came into the school. Apparently they had come driving for shopping in town, and then for some strange reason he couldn't move the car. Yes. So all these taxi drivers, they were honking at him seriously. He got more confused, and it took another taxi driver to come and get him out of the car and park our car well. Yes, because he had blocked traffic and he just couldn't move the car.
Wow.
You see. So I knew how to drive. He taught me how to drive when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And it was exactly 1 year later that this thing started happening to him, and then he couldn't move the car. So I came, I took an exit and then ran into town and then moved the car and drove the car home to the University of Cape Coast.
With him in the car?
With him in the car, and my mother too. My mother came straight into the school, because at that time there were no phones, and you know, so she came looking for me and said, your father doesn't seem to be well, and you know, he can't move the car. So it took another taxi driver to come and park the car well to give way to traffic, you know. I realized it was a very serious situation, so I came out of school to pick up the car and take the car home with my mother, you know. It was a few weeks after that, we had vacated, and I was reading a book about a lady about a lady who had paralyzed from neck downwards. She was into diving, and then she dived into a pool and then hit the bottom of the pool and ended up, breaking her spine. So I was reading that book and I heard my mother screaming.
Wow.
Apparently they had been eating together. So after they had eaten, he was slumped in his chair.
That was how long after the first instance of blocking traffic?
Yes, after that, yeah. About a couple of weeks later, we had vacated.
Okay.
So I was in the room and they were eating in the living room together. So when I heard my mother screaming, I ran to, and he was slumped in a chair as if he was sleeping. And then my mother reached and touched him and said, "Are you sleeping? Get up and go to the room." And then suddenly he slumped onto the ground.
Oh my!
And that's when my mother became, she started screaming and we came. He threw up, and then he came to. So when we're trying to get him up, he said, "Oh, no, I'm fine. So we helped him up and then took him to the car and took him to the hospital. At that time, it had already happened. He could no longer walk. You see, it happened so suddenly. I mean, so.
And you were on vacation from school then?
I was on vacation.
What kind of car were you driving then?
It was a Peugeot 505.
Peugeot 505.
My father loved Peugeot cars. That was the third one he had.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you take him to the hospital then?
Yeah, we took him to the hospital that night. It was about 7:30, and then we got to the hospital around 8:30, where they admitted him. At that time, he couldn't walk, so we had to wheel him into the hospital, and he was there for a while. And when they let him go, they told us, "Your father might not get well. This is a terminal illness, and you might have to accept it as it is."
Oh my God! Yeah. Which hospital was this?
University of Cape Coast Hospital.
Do you remember which doctor it was?
It was Dr. Fiakbonu.
Wow.
Dr. Fiakbonu.
And he told you straight in your face that your father would not make it again.
This is a terminal illness, so he might not. And I'm glad he told us the truth, because he never got well.
Wow.
He told us just the plain truth as it was. Yes.
And you were like 16 then?
I was about 16.
So when he was terminally ill like that, how long did it take the university to say bye-bye to him?
It took 2 years for them to throw us out of our bungalow.
Wow.
Yes, we lost our bungalow, so they just handed him a letter saying, "Well, this is what is happening, so you might have to leave the bungalow." And so 2 years later, around 1990, we left Cape Coast University and headed for Tema, because my father just would not go home.
Wow.
He didn't want to go home. Home was the last place he wanted to go.
So when you were kicked out of the bungalow, what happened next? I mean, where did you go?
We had to pack all our belongings and go and rent a house. We were supposed to be headed straight for Bato, but because of my daddy's reluctance to going home, we had to hang in Tema for 3 years before it became evident that he didn't have many more weeks to live. So we had to move out and go to Bato.
Was it another house of his?
No. We had to rent.
Oh, you rented a house?
Left in Tema.
Do you know if the university gave him a sending off money?
They gave him gratuity, which was different from the pension.
Okay.
But the pension came after he had died.
Oh.
Yes. So they gave him gratuity, which we survived on. That's what we used to live in Tema, to rent a house and live in Tema. Whilst my mother was busily putting together some 2-bedroom house for us to finally go, because actually he didn't have a house at home.
Was it strange?
It wasn't strange. Most university lecturers end up that way. They live in the comfort of university confines, using the furniture and the bungalows, until they finally realize that they haven't built their own houses.
Do you know if some of his students came to visit him when he was at home and couldn't move?
There's none that I remember.
All right. And when he was sent to Tema, in a rented house, do you still remember what house it was?
Oh yes, I still pass through that place. I get nostalgic feelings anytime I pass through that place, because I know that was where we were living until we finally had to move, because it became evident that he hadn't very many more weeks to live. He was going to die really very soon, so we had to move him away.
What was the period, I mean, between when he was diagnosed with the terminal illness and his death?
This is from 1988 to 1995.
Oh,
And
almost.
it's about 8 years,
years,
or
yeah.
so. He was bedridden for about 8 years.
He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk.
First, he could. After a while, they gave him a walker at the hospital. He was using up and down until after a while, we got some information about some prophet man living in Konongo Agogo.
A Christian
A
prophet.
Christian prophet, Konongo Agogo, called Prophet Moses Aqua. So I had to drive him from Cape Coast all the way to Konongo to Agogo, where they had this prayer camp. And that is where he was living for about 2 years, whilst the rest of the family was living in Tema.
Oh, so you kept his car for 8 years.
Yes. At the end of it, we had to sell it off.
Oh, okay. But to Prophet Moses' place, you drove him there.
Yeah, I drove him there. At that time, I must have been about 18, 19.
And you had finished A level.
Yes, I'd finished A level.
Okay. So you carried him all the way to where Agogo.
Agogo.
And
A town called Fidim,
feed him.
between Konongo and Agogo.
Was he able to help him?
Well, he was there for a while, and then he could walk. He could walk with his walker. He was improving for a while. And then we decided to bring him down to Tema.
Why?
Because that was how the prophet could help, the extent the prophet could help him to be exercising a while.
What kind of treatment did the prophet give him? Was it herbal? Was it prayer? Or both?
Prayer, water. He used to do some water. He had a tank in his house where he used to put some oil in the tank and stir it, and then they would fetch from the water and send it around to the patients to use to wash their faces and to drink some. And that was where it was called Anwanwa Bia. So that was where the Anwanwa things were supposed to come from the water. And
it was helpful.
Well, it was helpful for a while, yeah. But then he got to some condition where his condition just remained there.
Were you charged any money?
No, they just had to take care of themselves. So, yeah.
Is that prophet still alive?
No, he's dead.
He's dead and gone.
He died years ago.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So when you brought your father home, what his last stages? What was it like?
He wasn't exercising anymore. And I think that's what caused the problem, because he kind of gave up. Because when you stop exercising, it means you have literally given everything up. Because he was supposed to keep on exercising to keep his muscles working and all that. So suddenly he didn't want to go out anymore. And if you want to push him, he says you are disturbing him, leave him alone. He got erratic and very easily irritated, so we had to leave him alone, and there he remained on the bed, and then we had to carry him about because now he wouldn't walk anymore.
But he could talk. And what were some of the things he was telling you?
Well, he never complained of hunger. That was very strange. He never said, "I'm hungry." He accepted the food whenever it came. He didn't complain whether the food was late or whether the food didn't taste good. There was no complaint whatsoever, which was a very serious thing, because somebody who is not talking, he remained in one place, and then we used to go and turn him around. So I had to carry him to the bedroom and then bring him back, and then would bathe him. So he suddenly started to develop bed sores. Because he was at one place.
Yes.
Clean him up, turn him the other, because he couldn't turn himself. So he remained in one position until we came to turn him around. So we used to turn him around a couple of times a day, so that he could also be comfortable, because he couldn't move himself.
Did you ever get tired of doing this?
Yes, it came to a time when I used to think that God should give this man relief.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was suffering so bad. Wow. I used to ask him, so which part of your body is paining you? He would say in Ewe, that means it's hurting, it's paining me. And I used to ask him, what part of your body is paining you? He said, what question is that you're asking me? My everywhere is paining me.
Oh my God.
You see, that was when I knew it was time for God to give this man some relief for me, so that at least he could be free. because he was suffering so bad.
Did the university follow up?
Only after he had died.
Was when the university came?
Yes, was when the university came. They sent a delegation of lecturers, friends from the Anglo village by the coast, and they came in a chartered vehicle to attend his funeral.
At Bator?
Yes, at Bator.
When he finally got to Bator, that was where he died, right?
He died exactly 6 weeks later, after we had moved him from Tema.
Oh,
because the doctor told us that he didn't have many weeks to live. That was at the end of 1994, in December. So if he doesn't have many weeks to live, then we had better send him to his hometown where he can have a good rest, in his own house. We didn't want anything to happen to him out there in Tema, which was a no man's land, We wanted him to just get home. And I asked him whether he would go home finally, because the reason why we were hanging in Tema was that he had refused to go home.
Do you know why?
Yes, he didn't have a very good relationship with his kinsfolk.
Oh, okay.
And, so he wanted to stay as far as...
Do you know what the problem was?
Oh, I'm sure just, these small family issues and, small quibbling between brothers and sisters and cousins, about inheritance, about land issues, about this and that, and, complexities. So he wanted to stay far away from them. I remember before we sent him to the Awanwabia at Agogo, we were trying to cross him to the motorway, across the motorway to Bato, to go and inform the people there that we were sending this old man to Ashanti region, because that was the right thing to be done. We couldn't just get up and drive him out of the city all the way to Ashanti region without telling anybody. So we tried to cross him. He said it was not necessary. He didn't want anything to do with those people, the family. And we said, no, we can't do this. If anything happens to you out there, we are in big trouble because we didn't inform the family before taking you away. You see, and then he relaxed. But when he saw us crossing the motorway and he saw the toll booth, he said, where are you going? He said, oh, Daddy, please, we want to go and inform the people. It wouldn't be fair to us not to inform them. And then he took out his walking stick and began to poke my head.
Oh, wow.
I was driving.
Wow. Warning you not to go that direction.
He's not going anywhere.
So he didn't go?
So I parked by the road. I parked on the motorway and then got down. And my half-brother, my step-brother, we were traveling together. He spent about 15 minutes trying to convince this man about the importance of having to go to the family to inform them that we were taking him away. And about 20 minutes later, he finally said, okay, let's go. So we went, and then he said, but the next morning, I'm out of town.
Wow.
So we went and parked at Aveime and crossed by boat to the other side to inform him and the people over there that we're sending this man to Agogo. And then they delegated one person to even join us. So we drove to Agogo together.
Was the family proud of him? Having stayed away from the family for long?
Well, they were proud of him for having made all these achievements, because he was like one of the first people in the area to actually travel abroad. So the people treated him like a demigod because he was, they called him Ablochito, which means he's the Bentu. So they used to have a lot of respect for him in that direction.
Wow. So when you took him away finally, and then he passed away, how old was he?
He was about 72, but he had backdated his. That's what people do.
So that he would stay longer in the service.
Stay longer in the service, but he was about 72, but the record said 66.
Oh,
but he was about 72.
Okay, he had backdated about like 6 years.
Yeah. So so he died in Bato 2.5 weeks after we had moved him out of Tema. He died in the second week. In the second month of 1995, February.
1995.
Yeah, 1995. Wow. At that time, I was a third-year student in KNUST.
Oh my God!
And my father died.
So how did you see yourself through school? You were in sixth form when all these things happened. and you got bedridden. But you found yourself at KNUST.
Yeah.
How did you survive without the main breadwinner of the family?
Well, I survived on loans and grants from the government.
Was it difficult?
It was very difficult. SNIT loans and grants, and the government used to give us small handouts from time to time, and that's how I stayed in school. And
how did you transition from the driving of cars and flying around the world into a world of loans and grants?
It was a very difficult situation, because I was born with virtually a silver spoon in my mouth, as a lecturer's son in a university. I really didn't lack anything. But as I grew up, and even that famine situation, 1983, taught me a very, very good lesson.
Wow.
So I started to get the hang of, difficult life. Yeah, from those times. Things were never really the same again from that time.
I see.
Yeah, so my father actually, what he did was that as the situation got worse and worse, we had to start selling off our belongings just to stay alive. And it really got harder. So that silver spoon in my mouth disappeared.
Did your mother stay all along, or she found another man?
She was really never successful at finding another person.
She tried, right?
She tried one or two relationships, but they didn't
Whilst
really
he was alive?
No.
Oh.
After he had died, years after he had died, people started to advise her, you shouldn't be living alone. You should find somebody, a companion at least. So she tried a couple of times, and really
it didn't really work out.
It didn't really work out. And then she became a Jehovah's Witness, and she said, that's finally it.
Wow. So she's still a Jehovah's Witness?
She's still.
How about your sisters and your brother? Did you come together? Were you united? How did you make it happen for yourselves?
Well, after my father died, there was a big fight between my stepbrother and my mother. You know what happens between steps?
Oh.
It happens all the time.
Oh, your stepbrother?
My stepbrother.
And your mother?
And my mother.
Tell me about it.
Well, you see, my father had built one house before he went to Massachusetts when he was studying as a student. But because he had this misunderstanding with his own people, he abandoned the house and said, I'm not coming there again.
That was where? In Bato?
No, that was in Bato, but that one was across the lake at the other side. So he actually had a house, but he wouldn't go there again.
And who was in that house?
Oh, it was run down for a long time until after he was sick, and then my stepbrother moved there. And then my mother built another smaller house in the city, because as he lay dying in Tema, my mother used the gratuity to put together a building in Bato town.
Oh, okay.
You see, and that was the house they were fighting over when my father died.
Oh, wow.
So because my mother didn't see the reason why you have a house to yourself and you are coming to grapple with me over the small house I've built for your father to rest. You understand? So it became a big issue, and they fought it out. And
they fought?
Yeah, but me and my brother, we don't have any problem, and we are still very good.
Did they sort it out finally?
Well, they still greet, and
but there is a certain amount of bitterness.
The friction, yes, the friction is always going to be there.
How did your sisters pull through? You went to school. Did they also go to school?
Yeah, my other sister, my younger sister, she's actually brighter than me.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. She kept going to school, doing distance courses from here to Cape Coast, from here to Kumasi. And now she's big. She has a master's degree.
Wow.
She teaches mathematics and chemistry.
Oh, wow.
At St. Kizito SHS in Mepe.
Oh, wow. That's your younger sister?
Yeah, that's my younger sister.
How about your elder sister?
She took to fashion designing, so she learned how to sew.
Wow.
And that's what she does.
And your elder brother?
My elder brother, he's a retired head teacher.
Oh, he's retired now?
Yes, he's retired. He's past 60, so they sent him out. And so we all live in Bato now.
And he's still litigating.
Oh, well, he has his own house on the other side of the lake. But he comes to this house because he finally secured himself 2 rooms in this house.
Oh, he did again?
Oh, yes, he has a room in our house.
Despite what he had over there?
Yes, he has a full house to himself over there, and he has 2 rooms in our house.
Wow.
Anyway, but it's not really a very big problem. Because,
I see. What school was he a headmaster of?
Vume SHS at the other side of
And
the
he's
lake.
retired now.
Yeah, he's retired.
My guest in the studio is the man Ras Boomba, and we're getting more personal and more personal. Oh my God, I've never had an interview like this in a very long time, I must say. And Ras Boomba is a musician, a reggae musician, a kuchoko artist, and even more. He's also an instrumentalist, and a bandsman, a musician who plays live.
Yeah.
Ras Boomba, tell me, how did you enter into Rasta, smoking of marijuana and all that?
I was 19 years old, and I was just about getting out of Infantsipim.
Oh.
When I started hearing about Rastafari, I started listening to more and more reggae music. Because as a child, my mother presented country music to me.
Wow.
I enjoyed it so much because it was like a tranquil world.
Yes.
Where you listen to Don Williams and you listen to Kenny Rogers talk about trains and caravans moving across prairies, and it took a while for me to realize that this is really not my thing. Yeah, I couldn't relate to it culturally.
Okay.
Of course, I love the music, but it wasn't talking about us. They were talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And how their families were moving across prairies in caravans. They were talking about their ancestors.
Yes.
You see.
Yes.
So I realized that there was a conflict of interest. Why don't you study the music which is your own, and which better relates to your condition as a black person, So that's where the reggae music started to come in more and more. Because I'd listen to reggae music, I always used to remember Rastaman Vibration.
Bob Marley.
In 1975, I was about 4 or 5. I used to remember faintly those bass lines, So in my teens, this thing finally came back, and as my friends played Max Romeo and War in a Babylon and Stealing in the Name of the Lord, I got more attracted. I saw people like Eric Donaldson. I was like, look at his hair. I mean, it's not normal in our kind of society. In our kind of society, we used to comb our hair. But these strange looking people and what they say, I was mesmerized. I was fascinated. I said, these people, you see how they look like? They look unkempt and weird, super weird looking people. But what they said, it was nothing like what Don Williams or Kenny Rogers was saying. Because growing up after the American dream, where you watch like Buck Owens show and country music and rodeos and horses, and I was fascinated with the cowboy style. So at Halloween, I used to dress up like a cowboy, in my boots, and just feel good about it. But as I grew up, I realized that's really not your kind of thing. So I started to get closer to these weird looking people and the things they said. So I became a weird looking person myself. At the age of 19, my hair grew and beard.
Your father was still alive?
He was still alive. He was kind of like, hey, you are a man now. Wow. When he saw my beard grow, he said, hey, I've got a man in my house.
Wow.
And that was all he could say.
Wow.
I've got a man in my house.
Wow.
That was all he could say. He couldn't say much because he was so sick, So
do you think he was happy?
Well,
to see a man in his house?
To see a man in his house, yes. I'm sure he was happy to see me grow up into a man, and my beard started to appear. And he was kind of, hey, you were born just yesterday, but you're a man now. But I don't think he actually knew where I was gravitating towards. Because as academics, I knew it wasn't going to be very good news to hear that his son had become a Rasta man. Because even they in the academic society, they don't really understand this type of levity. You see. So, I don't think he would have been too pleased or too enthused about me having to become a Rasta man. You understand? Yeah.
So you became a Rasta man by just listening to reggae music?
Yeah. When I was in the university, KNUST, that is what helped me. Because about the 3-story building. That's which served as a library. We all used to go there.
Oh, yes. yes.
And they used to stop us and try and force us to take off our turbans, and because coverings were not allowed in
Yes.
that place.
Yes.
And whilst the nuns used to go and come unchecked
Oh, yes.
with their heads covered.
We remember all that.
Everything, all those discriminatory laws and all these things. But I still used to go to the library because there was something in that library which actually fascinated me.
Yeah.
That's where I learned everything I knew about Rastafari. I used to go up to go and read the Bible and learn about 144 discrepancies in the Bible.
That's right.
I used to go and look at the book of Clement and the book of Tobit and the works of Erasmus and First and Second Maccabees and the book of Susanna and strange books which we didn't have in the Bible or in the biblical compilation. I used to go there and look through all this strange material, So I found Rastafari through reading. Nobody told me about Rastafari because I was on campus and I used to go to the library to go and read. So that's where I got everything.
Were there Rasta men at UST at that time?
When I got to Tech as a freshman, there was Ajingo in the
Papa
Jimai in the biochemistry department. And then there's another one called Abeifa Kabo.
Oh, yeah.
From Wa, whose father was a chief in Laura.
Yes.
Yeah. So these two Rastas I went to meet in Tech. And there was this other one, this smart guy, mathematician, Martin Befi, we used to call him. Mapsi was super bright. He is the one who scored 80% in a mathematics exam, and then they said they didn't understand why he had scored so high, so they profiled him to take the exam again.
Wow.
He tried to convince them this is my genuine
talent
grade, so leave the 80 and just give it to me and let me go. And they said no, he has to take the exam again because they didn't understand how he had come by the 80 mark. And then he wrote a letter to the department and said, Jah Rastafari will surely judge this situation. Thunder, fire, lightning.
Wow.
And then he went to take the exam and he had 82.
Fire!
So they had to let him go.
Oh my God.
Super bright. He teaches mathematics in Western region now.
Oh wow.
He's still teaching.
Mapse, wherever you are, big up yourself.
Big up yourself, Mapse.
Oh,
Big man.
So did your father get to see your dreadlocks?
No, I had an afro. By the time he was dying, I had an afro. And it became an issue between me and the university authorities because I had an afro until he died. And then after he died, the university lecturer, I was actually waiting to finish first degree before locking my hair. But after my father died, the lecturers also decided to go on strike for another year.
Wow.
I couldn't wait. I mean, I can't wait for you to go on strike and decide when to come back before locking my hair.
Yeah.
When they came back, my hair was locked.
Oh my God.
That was in 1996.
Wow.
And they were like, go and cut this thing off. I also said I wouldn't cut it off because it's already happened.
That's right.
So it became a big problem. Big problem. They went to the dean and tried to convince her to take me out and all that.
Wow. So how did ganja smoking come in then?
Well, I used to smoke. I was 19. I was just in my national service days because after sixth form they sent me to Asinfosu to do national service for the first time.
Oh wow. So
I found myself out of university campuses and living on my own for the very first time ever. So at Asinfosu I used to go and visit the ghettos and then would brainstorm and marijuana brings up the whole of creation like a picture, just like Israel Vibration said. So we used to go and meet in the ghettos and watch these pictures,
Wow.
And sit by some doka and and some ganja, and it was a really good experience because it brought me to the level of the people. I'd lived in university campuses, an isolated life
with a silver spoon in your mouth.
In my mouth. So to finally find myself as part of the people, it was a whole new different experience to me because actually I'd never really seen people before. When you are isolated in university campuses and you don't come out to see people, when you actually meet the real people on the streets, it's an exhilarating experience, So
Yeah.
I was really.
What was your first experience with marijuana like?
Well, I was in Tema doing my national service in Asinfo, so I used to come and visit my mother and go. So in Tema, I met a couple of guys, and I remember those days I used to slap my leg and not feel a thing.
Wow.
I was like, wow, what's this?
you mean after smoking?
I'll slap my leg like this and feel nothing. I'm like, what?
Fire!
I said, hey, I can't feel a thing. Oh. What is going on? But then I realized that, okay, it heightened your sense of hearing, I used to hear things so amplified and so loud, uncomfortable. I said, why am I hearing this thing? And it's so loud in my ears when it's just the sound. So I realized that, okay, this thing actually plays with your senses, your sense of hearing, your sense of, you could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
I was like, but I never heard that before.
Wow.
Pins drop all the time. Why is it I can hear it so loudly this time, And I realized that, okay, it must be the effect of the herb, That's what makes you run and hear your own footsteps running behind you. And you run faster, and the footsteps run faster after you.
And if you're not careful, you could say you're going mad.
Yes, so that means you are the one who has to control, because this thing alters. It alters. So if it alters your brain, you have to know that your brain is altered. You understand? Because it does something to you. Alcohol makes you stagger. This one makes you hear things louder than you should actually hear them. So when I'm listening to reggae music, I can even hear the smallest of percussion, the small bells and those small things hiding in the corners of the music that nobody hears.
You hear everything.
Everything heightens your sense.
But do you sometimes hear people talking to you, like angels or demons or
no,
nothing like that?
But your mind goes far out there. You wonder about everything. Why is this thing like that? Why is this thing like that? It makes you want to dig into things and really find out what actually makes things tick. It makes you super curious, and and that's what makes you actually a great learner.
So has it helped you?
Well, it has, of course.
Okay.
It makes me work actually hard.
So it's not something that you want to give up.
No. Hey, when I'm painting on Jerry Johnson's ancestral wall and I'm hanging off the wall on a scaffold, marijuana is the best thing. I mean, which could keep me hanging out there, and
I see.
Because it's like a stimulant. So I use it for my work. You see.
And how about marijuana and studies? Did it help you?
Yes, it did, because when I wake up at 2:15 a.m. to study, whatever it is, whether guitar or whether it is some people's reps I'm learning, or it is some book I'm reading, maybe I came across the Aquarian Gospels of Jesus the Christ and I'm trying to study it, marijuana helps. It helps, especially in the night, 2:15 a.m. when I wake up and I'm studying. I mean, this thing goes really
You are
well.
not bothered about the lung cancers and all the liver cancers and all the cancers they talk about that come from marijuana smoking?
Well, you see, tobacco, if I compare it to tobacco, it looks like tobacco really rather is the killer, So when they say it's wrong to smoke marijuana, and at the same time they advertise cigarettes and bring them in articulated trucks in the middle of the market and try and load them in full glare of everybody, I'm like, I'd rather smoke marijuana.
So must you smoke?
Well, it can be taken in all forms. Recently, somebody handed me the oil and said, put a drop or two on your tongue, and then that's it.
Did you try it?
I tried it. It works just
the same way.
Yeah.
Wow.
The same way.
The same
oil.
way.
Yeah, the oil.
So you don't have to smoke anymore.
You don't have to smoke anymore. You don't even have to. You can cook and drink tea. You can put it in a stew. You see, but the reason why I don't like to consume it directly is that, you see, when you inhale and exhale, most of the marijuana comes out because you've inhaled and you've exhaled 80% of it. But when you put it in your stew or you drink the oil,
It remains inside
It
you.
remains inside, and that could keep you driving for 4 days, and that's really very uncomfortable. I prefer to inhale and exhale rather than to have to cram it into your system for the next 4 days or so.
wow.
That's horrible.
Do you think it gives cancer and all that?
I really don't. I think it's actually, you see, when you see documentaries which contradict each other, when you see a woman and she's dying of cancer and all she can smoke is marijuana, it sets your mind thinking. This thing which they say it spoils people and why? The same thing which gives ganja, with the same ganja which cures cancer or relieves the cancer is the same ganja which is reputed to be bad and cause cancer. I said, what could it cause cancer as well as prevent cancer? That's really very contradictory.
So your opinion, ganja is good. It's okay.
Yes.
It's all right.
Yes. I mean, I think ganja is what can save the planet.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I've spoken with a lot of Rasta people who have said, oh, yeah, when I started smoking and when I became Rasta, I was locked up in, prison. I was beaten up. What has been the worst thing you have gone through as a Rasta person?
I remember that was in 2004 in Bolgatanga. I was teaching in the SHS in Navrongo. They used to call it Navrongo Secondary School.
Oh, Navasco.
Yes, Navasco. I was a visual arts instructor there.
Lux Borealis.
Lux Borealis. That's
Lux
it.
Borealis.
Nabia. Yeah, I was sent to the Upper East region to go and assist. And in the year 2004, we had a Bob Marley show at a hotel in Bolgatanga called the Catering something.
Catering Rest House, yes.
We had a studio there, and then we had a. So there's a social center in Bolga Social Center. And that's where we set up our equipment. So we went to do sound check. This was on 10th May, because the next day was supposed to be a Bob Marley's day. So we went to set up our equipment. And then that night, we were smoking just behind the social center. And at that time, there was this reconciliation. That was at that time they had this Kufuor government, and they were trying to reconcile Ghanaians with the brutalities meted out to Ghanaians during the Rawlings coup. You remember that time there was a reconciliation which went on in every region, and this reconciliation, they were actually having the reconciliation session inside the social center. And we had this Bob Marley show. So in the night, we were there checking up on our equipment. So we came and sat on a park just outside the social center and we're smoking. So suddenly, I saw the guys I was sitting with just get up and start to run.
Wow.
That was in the night. And I heard this man shouting, "Hey, I'll shoot. Stop right now." But me, I didn't know what was happening. I just saw people started to run. So I also got up and started to run in the same direction that they were running, because I didn't have time to look behind me to see what was making them run. I mean, it's an instinctive thing.
Yes, it
if you are sitting with people and then suddenly everybody wakes up and start to run.
Yeah, you run.
You run in the same direction without knowing what is making them run. So that's what
true.
I did. And then they picked up our bicycles.
Oh my God.
And sent them into the social center. At that time, we had all run away.
Wow.
So I decided to go back there and go and find out what was going on on bicycles. And, so I went and entered the social center.
Are you saying that you rode a bicycle all the way from Navrongo to Bolga?
I used to do that every weekend.
Oh my
with my
God.
guitar on my back, because we had a studio at Catering Rest House, like I said.
My God.
So I used to ride from Navrongo to Bolga every weekend to go and record. And then come back before Monday because there'll be classes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I used to make those weekly trips.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
And from Navrongo to Bolga, it's about how many miles?
It's about 18.
And you rode a bicycle
Yeah,
on
sometimes.
the highway like that all the way to Bolga.
Sometimes-
Anyway, so what happened to the bicycle when you came back?
I went inside the place to go and ask. Oh, boss, what is happening? Yeah. Suddenly, our 7 guys came out from inside. They were supposed to be soldiers and police people coming to keep the security for the reconciliation session. And they were lodging inside the place. Apparently, they are the ones who had come to chase us away. And then I went back inside there to go and ask for my bicycle. Because there were many of us, and there were about 3 bicycles which they picked and sent to the social center, and they were keeping them there. So I decided to go and find out what was happening and how we could get our bicycles back. So I saw about 7 guys running out of the rooms wearing singlet. The rest was just history. I could see hands enter into my pocket.
Searching you.
Everything, not just searching me, everything just disappeared from my pocket right then.
What did you have in there?
Well, I just had my repertoire. You know, we had come to do sound checks. So I
Yes.
had my repertoire, my pens, my everything. I didn't have any much money on me.
No herbs in there.
No.
Okay.
Because at that time, I was going back into the place.
Yes, so you were
It
careful.
was in the night. It was in the night. So I don't really know. All I saw was that myself go down and climb back up and go down and climb up. So if you were watching from a camera, you could see these guys with soldiers kicking him down and he
Oh, they
getting
were
up.
beating you up.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I got up. And then I went down again. I got up. I went down again. Hands got into my pockets. Everything disappeared. And I was like, I'll go down. I'll come. You know?
They were kicking you and
Yes.
slapping you.
I couldn't even know what was happening. All I saw was myself getting back up and going down and getting back up and going down.
But were you feeling the pain?
I was numb, man.
Numb, you were numb.
You couldn't even know what was going on. All you saw was about 7 guys, around you, and you going down and getting back up, because I wasn't ready to lie down like this. You know, so they started firing bullets behind me.
Oh, really?
And then I ran out of the place. Yeah.
They fired bullets.
They ran away from here. So they were firing behind me, and I ran and, went back towards the hospital in Bolga, towards the city. You remember some old man called Gong Gong who used to, I ran towards his house down there. You know Bolga really very well.
Yes.
So when I went, somebody gave me a lift on a motorbike and then took me to Gong Gong's house, and then I entered inside. Looks like they came out all the way down the streets looking for me, and you couldn't see because I was in one of the houses. So it was the next day I went with a guitarist friend of mine, Oscar. Yeah. I went again.
Of blessed memory.
Yes, of blessed memory. I went there to the social center. The next day I went there
You
again.
couldn't let go of your bicycle.
Oh, no.
You were going for it.
I was going for it. So I went with, Oscar said he would follow me. So he went there, and then we went. And then these guys, that time the reconciliation session was about to start. So they were in full uniform this time. When they came out to attack me, they were wearing singlets. But the next day, when we went there to the place, they were in full uniform. And then we went straight to them and said, we are the ones who came there yesterday.
And you beat us up.
And you beat us up. So we are coming for our bicycles.
Wow.
So then they went to get our bicycles. Yes. And gave them back to us.
All of you.
Yes. I went there and they gave 3 bicycles which they had taken from us, and they gave those 3 bicycles back to us. And then we went to give the bike. I
So
took
you
my
became
own.
the sacrifice
Yeah.
for your friends.
For my friends, because I took those bicycles and let them have their bicycles, and I took my own and rode back to Navrongo because it was getting to time for school, and I had to still be in school because it was my job.
So how was the feeling getting back your bicycle?
Oh, well, it looks like the next day when they were in full uniform, they didn't want to attract too much attention, so they gave our bicycle. The previous night, what happened was happening at night, and there was nobody there, you see. But the next day, in the full glare of the whole Ghana, because they had come to conduct a reconciliation session, so all eyes were on them, because they are the ones who were keeping security in the place at that time, you see. So they didn't want to attract too much attention about Rasta people coming there to come and demand their bicycles, so they had to let go of our bicycles.
You told us about how Rasta came in. How did music come in then?
Music coming.
Yeah. How did you become a musician, a singer?
Well, at the age of 19 to 21, I had this big dream. So like, hey, Bob Marley and this is like years later, I realized it was just a big illusion.
Wow.
You're not Bob Marley.
Oh, you want that to be Bob Marley?
I saw this. Hey, this. I went to Nana Finn's house sometime and then I saw Bob Marley live, and I said, you know what,
Wow.
Nana, this thing, I will do some more. I will do some. I didn't really imagine myself as Bob Marley, but I said, this man, this thing they do, no. I go do some pay.
I see. Wow.
I'll also do some. So the energy and the zeal was so great at that time. You know, by the time I finally found out that I'm not Bob Marley, I'd already done a lot.
Do you think that you will rise to the status of Bob Marley one day?
No. There's only one Bob Marley, and it would be unfair to ask for another. Because Bob Marley, Jamaica can't have another Bob Marley. The whole world, nobody can have another Bob Marley.
What level do you think you can rise to?
Well, as far as life permits me, yeah, I don't really know the level I'm getting to. But right now, it looks like Bob Marley has been. Somebody like me, I find myself now more of a teacher and a professor than somebody running around on stage and having, taking the glory for myself.
You've recorded some very beautiful songs. I'm going to play a couple of them.
Yeah.
This one is called Dankwasek.
No place to rest my weary feet, or even take a seat. So I'm sitting at Dankwa Circle till the break of dawn. Fire, fire. Sale, sale. No place to rest my weary feet, or even take a seat. Oh no. So I'm sitting at Dankwa Circle, 'cause the heat is on. Sitting at Dankwa Circle in the setting sun, having fun. Sitting at Dankwa Circle until the rising sun, having fun. Ay, 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 oh. Lord knows that I was having fun in Osu. Sun knows that I was having fun. Sitting at Dankwa Circle, hey, because the heat is on and on till the crack of dawn. Shit in the gutter, sitting across from the bridge. I lay on over the bridge, settling in the area.
A shower giddy 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 giddy, all in the arena.
Wow, giddy giddy all over the arena.
A shower giddy giddy all over the arena. Of course, Dankwa Circle, you're recounting ninth life in Accra, right?
Yeah, nice life in Accra. This was around 2009.
You have very good music. Rasbumba, why are you not all over the place? International, doing concerts and touring all over the place.
I just don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
You have another one there called Story.
Fire, fire, fire. You got your love, and I got mine. I got my seed to toe the lion. I got my kingdom where I am king. And if you want to be queen in my kingdom, step right in. If you want no part, then we must part.
If you want no part, then we must part. How you mean? Rasbumba. This one is story, right?
Yes, it's stories.
You have some very beautiful songs.
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
songs.
Fire, fire, yeah, yeah. Nga feel, nga touch, nga water, nga nama, nga feel, fire, 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 nga water, nga nama. Ukakonia usikenie, ukakonia usikenie, ukakonia usikenie, ukakonia usikenie.
Gafili gadochi gawuta ganama nkokoniao. Oh my God! I know you wrote this with Oscar, right?
Yeah, that was in the year 2004 at Tanga Studios, Bolgatanga.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Oscar is passed now, right?
Yeah, Oscar died in 2007.
May he rest in peace. At that time, you didn't want to sing anymore.
Yes, at that time we had come from the north. We came to participate in the Africa Unite concert. I came with Oscar. At that time, I had left my teaching job. I'd resigned from the Ghana Education Service, you know, as a non-professional teacher.
Yeah.
Because I wanted so badly to come and perform at the Rita Marley's. Yeah. So Ras Mubarak put me on the show, and then I came to Accra with Oscar.
Big up yourself, Ras Mubarak. Ras Mubarak is watching you live. Big up yourself. You put Ras Bumba on the show. I was on the show too.
Yeah.
We played together.
Yeah.
I remember you lost interest in Stephen Marley because you idolized him from afar. When he came to Ghana, he sacked you guys from the
Threw
studio.
all of us out. 10 of us. He threw all of us out.
Ras Bumba.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, mama, mama. Earlier, later, sitting, waiting. One tune a day keeps the devils and witches away. Fire, fire. I got to move my dancing feet to the beat. We've been waiting so long just to sing.
Our time is fast spent and we have to go. Beautiful piece of music. I mean, Ras Bumba is music, and you also do art. You paint, you draw, and do so many different things. You are a creative person. Well, we're looking forward to having you on the mainstream. Are you signed to any record label right now?
Recently, I got signed to Groove House.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we've done 10 tracks and we're about to promote them and get my music registered on BMI. That's the royalty collection. Yeah, so that's what we are in the process of doing right now.
Wow. Are you happy with the deal?
Well, it's my first deal, actually. I've never really had much of a deal.
Wow.
You know, so it's the first thing that I've been asked to put my signature on, so I hope it works out right. Yeah.
Sing me, your part in Donald Trump. Do you remember it? Yeah. Give me an acoustic feel.
Fool, Mr. Trump, dumb you dumb. All you think about is the guns and the bombs and the buildings and the bombs. Ain't got any balls. German Donald Trump, run, go take a jump.
Oh my God, have mercy. Beautiful piece of music. Ras Bumba, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. If you have any other thing to add, please go ahead and say to the millions of people listening around the world.
Whose name am I going to mention? As I was coming, I called Royal Fellini.
Oh wow.
Big Royal Fellini. You know, recently he called me and said, I beg you, let me have your passport done for you.
Yes.
And then he paid for everything, and I went to the passport office and took my passport.
He told me how much problem you gave him, that he had to call you over and over. I
beg you, let me do your passport for you, please. Big up.
Big up Royal Fellini.
Yeah.
Big up yourself.
Yeah.
Are you married, Bumba?
No, sir.
Oh, why? Are you gay?
No. Could never be.
Okay, so why are you not married?
Well, I really think I should be married by now. I would really appreciate it. I would really have appreciated it if I had about 3 children or so that I can teach what I know to them. But you know, sometimes you just really don't know what really happens. I mean, you just can't go out there and start having babies. You need that compatible.
Are you dating right now?
No. It looks like I don't feel anything right now.
Wow.
Some time ago, I must have felt a thing or two for a couple of ladies, but for some strange reason, I don't feel a thing. No.
Oh, you've dated before?
Yeah, I've been dating before.
Okay.
From time to time.
And you have sex?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So when you say you don't feel a thing, are you saying that your manhood has gone numb?
No, I'm saying that my heart doesn't beat as fast as it used to be. Those days, you know, when I was about 35 or so, I'll meet some women, I'll develop the huge crushes, which sometimes some of them almost even killed me.
Wow.
Crushes like that. But right now, for some strange reason, my heart doesn't beat. Those days, when I see a woman and, I mean, we start getting closer, my heart goes like boom, 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 boom. And I can't sleep at night. And
now, nothing.
All those things are gone.
Well, you don't have erections anymore.
Erections are, but the heart is the one which leads you to find the person who makes those erections happen.
Wow.
So
you have not had an erection in a long while.
Oh, especially in the mornings. Of course, they all happen all the time.
Fire.
So, Rasbuma, are you going to advertise for a woman right now so I can put your number out and ladies will call you for an audition?
Audition? You mean musical audition?
No, I mean marriage audition.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Rasbumba, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Do you have any new song you probably want to play for us for about 30 seconds, 1 minute?
Kiss Mandola.
Kiss Mandola.
Mandola.
Kiss Mandola.
Kiss Mandola.
Is it a ganja song or is it a sex song?
You see, it's an ambiguous song. It could be either this or that.
Okay. Give me that.
Feeling high, feeling low. Whenever I get this feeling, I get to know you're gonna have to kiss me, Mandola. Mandola, Mandola. You and me to ecstasy. Whenever I get this feeling, I get to know I'll be coming back to kiss you, Mandola. By the riverside, kiss me, Mandola. Mandola, kiss me, Mandola. Hey, skididly abba rinky roo.
Kiss my Mandola. Oh my God, have mercy, beautiful piece of music. Rasbumba, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Oh my God. So we've been speaking with Rasbumba. He just finished kissing